Welcome back, guys. It's your favorite war criminal here. It's no secret that every RPG has a meta with builds that are better than others. And then there's things like Azir and Silver 2. And this becomes more pronounced when a game gets frequent balance updates, and Path of Exile is no exception. And with Path of Exile recently having one of its biggest updates to date called City Skylines Satan's Scrib Edition, every melee skill got reworked to be much more powerful than before, making them the undisputed meta. So I thought it would be the perfect time to try and make traps work. But not just any trap. In fact, one of, if not the worst one of all. The ball. It is the only projectile trap, and it uses lightning, which has the worst synergy with traps as a whole. Which means it's perfect for a maniac like me, so join me on the adventure of why Polish people can be normal for 2 seconds, and how I made lightning trap go from 500,000 DPS average to So let's start with the character selection. Traps scale on spell and trap damage, but also scale massively on charges. The Shadow is the closest to all the trap nodes on the skill tree, and he goes into one of 2 ascendancies which revolve around charges. And the third one is specifically made for traps. So obviously, we're going with the Templar. Yes, I will explain it over time, but for now, just trust me, bro. We start with the Rolling Magma Flame Wall combo, then switch to Wintertide Brand at level 12. If you remember, traps scale very well on charges, so once we complete the first labyrinth, we have the Hierophant who gives us power and endurance charges. So obviously, we're going with the Inquisitor. We then switch to Armageddon brands, up until red maps. This build is about traps, I swear. The first problem with traps is that your mana cost makes fast food consumption and Texas look like Kenya. So before we switch to Lightning Trap, we first need to get the Slave Driver's Hand. Yes, that's the actual name, and I just realized I shouldn't have made a joke about Kenya. Just the funny Driver's Hand makes it so that trap skills consume life instead of mana. But now we have a new problem. Each time we throw a trap, we're getting closer to the funny game over screen, which is where the first reason for us taking Inquisitor comes into play. The Sanctuary skill creates consecrated ground whenever we're stationary, which regenerates our health, and the Pious Path skill makes the effect persist for 4 seconds after we move. Now here's the kicker. Every time we throw a trap, our character is considered as stationary for the duration of the animation. That's right. It's free real estate. But before we socket the Lightning Trap gem, we have to do the most important step. Celestial MTX. This has no effects on gameplay, but unless it looks cool, I'm not playing. Now, traps revolve around critical strikes as well, which brings us to the second reason for taking Inquisitor. The Inevitable Judgment skill makes critical strikes ignore enemy resistances, meaning we can give as much care to elemental penetration as North Korea does to the Geneva Suggestion, and instead focus on other things, like not violating the Geneva Suggestion, like raising our chances of critically striking to 100%. Which brings us to the final reason for taking Inquisitor. The Righteous Providence skill, which increases our critical strike chance equal to the lowest attribute between strength and intelligence. That's right, this is a stereo attribute stacker build. Don't worry, it gets worse. So how do we stack intelligence and strength? Simple. The split personality with +5 strength and intelligence, which increases in effect the further away it is from your starting point. And because we're taking all charge nodes, it's easy money. Next, we'll take the Magnate belt, which adds up to 60 strength and gives us a chance to deal double damage, and a smaller chance to deal triple damage with enough strength. According to my calculations, which I totally didn't steal from the wiki, that's an effective 19.5% more damage, so I'm not complaining. Then we get a Lethal Pride RNG jewel, which adds increased strength to existing skills. Then we can get the rest in our rare equipment, which brings us to about 750 strength and 500 intelligence. Yep. Now let's go on to gem. First, Lightning Trap has a transfigured version, which is Lightning Trap, but better. No, I'm not gonna explain. Now, not only does it scale much higher with damage, it has infinite penetration chains twice, meaning that whenever it hits a wall, it bounces off and auto-aims at enemies. Twice. For the first Link gem, we're using Charge Trap support to make us gain more damage from power charges, and get trap throwing speed from frenzy charges. And because Funny Driver Hand makes our trap throwing speed scale with cast speed, and frenzy charges inherently give cast speed, we essentially get twice the return on throwing speed from frenzy charges. Second is Taylor's Swift Assembly, which gives us a chance to throw more than one trap. It's just more damage. Third is trap damage support. It's literally more damage. Fourth is Elemental Focus, which gives us a massive elemental damage boost in exchange for not being able to inflict shock with Lightning Trap. We will be fixing that in a moment. Finally, Empower Support, which raises the level of Lightning Trap. Speaking of levels, Lightning Trap's damage goes up exponentially with levels, meaning the more leveler better. The soft cap level for gems is 20, but we can raise it. So let's raise it to level 38. First, we can corrupt Lightning Trap to raise it to level 21. Second, we can also corrupt Empower Support to level 4, which gives us +3 levels to Lightning Trap. Third, we will get Dragon Fang's Lightning Trap variant, which gives Lightning Trap 3 more levels. Fourth, we can craft a staff which gives +2 to Spell Gems and +3 to Lightning Spell Gems, which Lightning Trap is both. I have no clue how to craft it, so I just bought it. Then with the new Runecraft mechanic, we can enchant a +1 level of Lightning Spell Gems, which raises Lightning Trap's level by a total of +6. And finally, this one will take us the longest to get, because this armor cannot be modified, not even with corrupted orbs. Skin of the Lords, more like supreme arrogance. I'm self-reporting. This armor also allocates a random keystone, and we will need the Iron Will. Because, you know, we have all that strength, yet we only use it for crit chance, and Iron Will makes it so that we get 1% increased spell damage per fire strength. Now, not only do we have to get the right socket colors, we also need the correct keystone route. There are 35 of them. Good luck on your hunt, Exile. For the rest of the skill tree, we will get a lightning damage large cluster jewel with at least disorienting display to give them the same treatment as you watching this video, and snowstorm for that juicy cold damage. Then we will get 2 trap damage medium cluster jewels, with both having guerrilla tactics, with one having expendability and the other having arcane pyrotechnics. Finally, we will get forbidden flesh and flame that allocate conviction of power to get 1 more power charge and 4 minimum endurance charges so we can die less. For any other jewel slot, you can take any with these stats, and no, I'm not gonna explain it. For auras, we're taking Arctic armor with flesh and stone to die less, summon Skitter Boss for more damage with traps and to shock and chill nearby enemies. If you remember, that's the fixed 2 elemental focus I was talking about. Wrath for more lightning damage, and finally, Vitality with arrogance support because we already ran out of mana to reserve. With this alone, we will be dealing around 13 million DPS. However, we can get much higher. So first, we will use Icers on our Nikes and get increased life recovery and damage per endurance charge. And we will use them on our helmet to get increased damage per power charge and life regeneration. Second, we will get a Watcher's Eye with increased lightning damage with Wrath aura and increased life recovery with Vitality aura. And third, maximum fire resistance on a rare jewel. All of which allow us to get Righteous Fire. Righteous Fire burns us for 90% of our maximum life per second as fire damage, but in return gives us 40% more spell damage. There are still some things which are pretty whack with the build, but nothing a lifetime stock of flex save can fix. Base movement speed isn't the greatest, so leap slam with faster attack. Physical damage kills us most, so steel skin with automation support. And finally, Unholy Relic, because there's no such thing as too much life regen. This build is reasonably tanky, but it's no hardcore build, so don't try to face tank Shaper Slam to it. The best way to earn currency with this build is any league mechanic that has tight corridors, walls, or a very large amount of enemies grouped together, preferably all 3. So yes, Breach, Legion, Betrayal, Delve, Alva, Delirium, and most importantly, Ritual are by far the best of this build. I emphasized Ritual because the Black Mist counts as a solid structure. Speaking of the enemies being stuck with us, this skill somehow breaks the new boss. I think his brain can't compute how I made this spell work. This build is good enough to run fully juiced tier 16s and even certain tier 17s. But what if you have months to kill running juiced beach 24/7? Well, I have the perfect solution for you. Corrupted slave drivers with +1 frenzy, +1 power charge, synthesized helmet, corrupted +1 endurance relic Nike, +4 level focused amulet with crit multiplier, awakened embarrass corrupted level 5, +1 frenzy ring with Kalandra, mage blood with elemental, onslaught, sulfur, and amethyst flask. Double corrupted as strength intelligence. So what have we learned today? Don't be foolish.